Hey everybody! Welcome back, and also Tomo! Welcome, Tomo. Hello, my son. How you doing? You have a good afternoon? He's licking his lips like he had a good afternoon. Not like that, you weirdos. Right, Tomo? I don't think he's gonna meow, but I'm gonna try. Tomo! Tomo! One more try. Tomo! Tomo. No, he's in groom mode. Tomo has a few different modes as we get started here. Minus, don't even... Yikes, dude, it's been bad. It has not been great. But this is a great start. D8HM Meekle. And not an XL floor. So, I got an idea. The idea is highly simple. Yo, what up? Let me think about this for a second. I think we just pick it up, put it back down, then respawn with Lazarus Rag, leave, immediately pop the nail. That's a pretty nice statistical bonus for us there. Anyway, this is a good start. Even got a guppy item right off the bat. There's a few Tomo modes. There's not many, to be fair. One Tomo mode is sleep. That's obvious. One Tomo mode is thirsty. Tomo doesn't really seem to get hungry. He eats, but he doesn't like eat voraciously. Like Ruka he's a hungry boy. He eats all the time. He eats too much to the point of illness sometimes. I don't mean like, you know, diabetes or like insulin sensitivity. I mean like to the point where he gets nauseous and throws up. Tomo's more of a thirsty boy. You already know. Probably half a cup daily of life-giving H2O. Yo, can I have a bomb, please? Whoa, be careful what you wish for, brother. I don't really want to open that. Give me 1 sec here. Go through more of Tomo's modes, you coward. Tomo has groom mode. Everybody's familiar with groom mode, I'm sure. It's the new hit song, taking Twitch by storm. Stick with what we got going on here. We got enough bombs now to make it tick. And he has pet me mode. He's also got leave this place mode right now. Alright, goodbye, my son. He's got pet me mode. And it doesn't happen very often. You know, you got to be in the right place, right time to witness pet me mode. That's when he wants you to pet him and will not take no for an answer. He'll start smacking your hand. Like lightly, but also forcefully. And he's like, you're not done with the petting yet, okay? But it's about it. Sometimes he has antagonized Ruka mode as well, but that's just cute. When cats have interpersonal conflicts, you just go, that's just... Your problems are not real. I have to, you know, I'm not mocking my own pets. But whenever, you know, sometimes Ruka's a very emotional cat. Sometimes, you know, Tomo will slight him. And then Ruka will, like, want to tear him apart. And I gotta stop him. And then he starts meowing, like, mournfully, like, meow, meow, meow. And I'm like, dude, what are you... What, Tomo tried to sleep in your box for 10 seconds and then you kicked him out? Like, come on, man, these aren't real problems. Call me when you pay taxes, buddy. Then you'll know what a real mournful meow sounds. I mean, I'm just being a self-caricature at this point. Where are we at here? Great run so far. I will say I probably overstated the quality of the run from an offensive standpoint. Is not particularly great, specifically just from the standpoint of like how fast can we kill enemies. But in terms of survivability and utility, it's like disgusting. Now you should never do what I'm doing here because we're gonna get hit by spiders. But in the process, we might glean as much as 3 or 4 cents. And you know, that's a cost I'm willing to bear for that kind of financial recompense. Thank you. We do have a key, thankfully. Probably should go to the shop first. Unicorn Stump is fine, but it's a spacebar item that I cannot abide right now, unfortunately. The nail is just too valuable. So I'm sitting here, it's a Wednesday. It's the day before Valentine's Day, as I'm sure you know you're probably gleaning. Telling you, it's not much of a backlog going on right now. Valentine's Day fast approaching. I mentioned in an earlier episode, but I'm always surprised, I guess, especially as I've gotten a little older, how many people are very irritated by Valentine's Day and take it as a commercial holiday. I'm not really saying it's not, but come on, man. Not everything's a conspiracy designed by Russell Stover to sell you overpriced chocolates, you know? How long is... You know, I should look up the history of Valentine's Day before I start saying things that may or may not be ignorant. You know, let's go take a look. Maybe we can spin off this. I will take Valentine's Day seriously if it started to be celebrated as a holiday prior to the First World War. Valentine's Day. Celebration. I gotta look at the history. Not the history of Saint Valentine. I don't care. Connection with romantic love. Celebration and status worldwide. Valentine's Day customs developed in modern England and spread throughout the English-speaking world in the 19th century. These customs spread to other countries, but their effect has been more limited than those of Halloween or than aspects of Christmas, such as Santa Claus. Interesting. Welcome back, Tomo. I guess he was in a thirsty mood. That's interesting because when I was in when I lived in South Korea, they did celebrate Valentine's Day, but they also celebrated like a gender swapped version. I know that's not really how Valentine's Day works, but you know, the old school chivalric tradition is like on Valentine's Day, the man spends money on a gift to show his appreciation for the woman. That's probably changed a little bit in the modern times. Yo, we're so close to becoming guppy. But traditionally, that was how, I mean, at least growing up, how we kind of saw it. Now what they do, and don't shoot the messenger, by the way. What they do in North America is the idea of Steak and BJ Day, which I don't know if has ever actually been celebrated, but started as like a joke on the internet that's like, hey, you know, Valentine's Day is February 14th. The men should get something on March 14th. What's more masculine than a little bit of lip service? Sorry, I'm trying to get around Google DeepMind here. A little bit of lip service combined with the most masculine of all meals, a steak. In South Korea, they have they have Valentine's Day, but then they also have White Day. And on White Day, the women buy gifts for their counterpart. I don't know what happens if it's a same-sex relationship. Look, I'm not the liaison on romantic traditions worldwide. I'm just saying it's a little bit more palatable than the SNBJD. My personal opinion, a little bit more tasteful at least. So yeah, it's different worldwide, I suppose. Yeah, I shouldn't gatekeep holidays. Hello, my son, you want to leave now? Okay, fine. Yeah, I don't know. You're hot, then you're cold. You're yes, you're Tomo. You're in, then you're out. What was I going to say? It's just that, you know, personally, probably, if I had to think about it, I think I've got it backwards. I should probably pay more respect to a holiday that has recently become observed, you know, because it's probably more in line with modern sensibilities to some extent. You know, a holiday having been around since the time that they thought leeches actually, were a viable medical treatment, I shouldn't necessarily give it an air of legitimacy just due to its age at that point, probably, correct? I think so. Like, personally, I think we could be due for some new holidays. We got a new holiday in Canada within my lifetime. It's called Family Day, and it's a day off for day off's sake. And you know what? I support that. People work a lot. I would say people work too much. I know I work too much. I was, we're going to get into some real talk here, but I was talking to Josh and Malf, aka in this context, because he's a real human being, Mike, about it. And I was like, dude, it's a bad habit, but I've noticed, like, as I've gotten older, Every year, I'm like, I'm going to scale back a little bit. And then I end up being, like, busier and busier and busier, which I guess is just how it happens. And then I become so much more protective of my free time. You know, I used to give my time willingly and generously. Like, hey, you need help with this? You need help with this? I so very rarely do this anymore, just because I feel like if I don't take all of my free time for myself, I'm contributing to my own, mental strain, and I'm gonna, go nuts and lose my mind up in here. So I think that's a feeling that a lot of people can probably relate to. I remember seeing a tweet that was like, if I don't respond to you, it's not that I don't like you. It's just that I feel like I have to take every second of free time for myself so I don't go insane. And that's, I definitely relate to that a little bit. So an extra day off, dude, I support it, absolutely. I get a reputation as kind of a, not just a prude, but like an old mine owner or something like that. That's like, well, I think, the 8-hour workday is probably the worst thing that's happened to modern society. Idle hands are the devil's plaything. I'm not like that, dude. Having worked in an office, my perception, and this is 10 years ago, I don't know, maybe the culture's changed a lot since then. This was just barely inside of the Steve Carell office era, and we know how that changed it for everybody. But having worked in an office, for the most part, I have found it to be a highly inefficient work structure. I'm not anti-office. I like the stability afforded by an office, to be honest with you. It is a social network, and for some people, they think that's sad, but it's also kind of cool that your job comes with built-in friends. I choose to look at it the positive way. If you hate your coworkers but have no other friends, that's a bigger problem, but I don't know if that's necessarily the office's fault. I guess it is, I wouldn't say sad, but unfortunate that you're like, yeah, what a coincidence that, all of the people that are my best friends in life just happen to be people that are also very passionate about group benefits. But, I'm not trying to, rock the boat in that sense. However, when I worked as a summer student, I think I was probably productive. Out of an average, 7-hour workday, it was cushy, we got an hour for lunch. I was probably productive 4.5 hours a day on average. And that's not bad, actually. I think, if you took an honest appraisal, our office was pretty well run and had a good culture. People wanted to work. They didn't feel pressured to overperform, but they definitely felt like it was an environment in which they could, be fulfilled. So, sometimes the thing is, you just have a slow day and there's nothing to do, You can't create more work out of nothing. And realistically, a lot of times, these places have kind of overhired. So there's just too much labor, not enough work, which is a good thing, I think. Rather have that than negative as long as your balance sheet looks okay, I suppose. Anyway, where was I going with this? I'm just saying. I do think that the 5-day, 7-hour, 8-hour work day, or 5-day, 35 to 40-hour work week is a little bit, it's an inefficient structure in my personal opinion. But I'm also the guy beating the drum. Anytime, anybody's like, I'm sad. I'm like, have you considered working more? Maybe that would solve your problem if you just, buried yourself in your profession. So, basically, I don't know where I stand. I'll be honest with you. I got multiple opinions and no reasoning for any of them. I do think, I think it's important to have a hustle, I guess is what I'm getting at. One of my friends is all about the hustle. If he had taken his path in life somewhat differently, he's an environmental engineer. He's doing very well for himself. But he was never the kind of guy that was like, dude, I'm so passionate about environmental engineering, let me talk to you about wastewater treatment. He was definitely the kind of guy that was at a young age, in our teens, basically, he was like, I think that my philosophy around work is that work sucks, no matter what. So what I want to do is get a good job that is not physical labor and pays well, and then use the pay to maximize my leisure and my downtime. And I think, you know, don't shoot the messenger, but I think it's a very mature way to look at the working world. You know, not everybody's going to have the greatest job of all time, aka chocolate taster at the Hershey's factory. You know, if you're doing better than average for sure, if you can get a job that you find fulfilling, that maybe is not necessarily pleasant 100% of the time, but also affords you ample opportunities to enjoy yourself in the downtime. Now, I shouldn't say, like, he's not going to work, at least my perception of it is, he's not going to work in drudgery every day. He talks about his job all the time, and he talks about it with a certain reverence and pride. But, you know, I mean, we look at life kind of differently, but he took that approach from an early age, for sure. But he's always talking about the hustle. And if things had gone differently, he would be the guy who's like, I got, you know, DoorDash, Uber, that new startup that's like, you know, DoorDash for laundry, where you just go to... Dude, I'm freaking out about these startup ideas, because it's a joke, but also every single startup, and we saw a lot of ads for them when we were in San Francisco, but is... DoorDash plus something. Is basically like, hey, you know... don't want to do something yourself? Hire somebody else to do it. And some of them, I actually think, are decent ideas, okay? Let me run them by you. You might not love this one, but I think it's okay. One of them is, I don't remember what it's called, but basically, you don't have to do your laundry anymore. You give your clothes to somebody on the app. They wash them, dry them, fold them. I don't know if there's surcharges for all those things. They bring them back to you. Before you mark this as ridiculous, I want to point out this is literally exactly the same thing as Postmates, DoorDash, etc., etc. It's paying for a convenience for a task that, you know, you could probably do yourself, assuming you have laundry facilities in your building or your apartment or your house, etc., etc. All these, at the end of the day, are just paying for convenience. You might have some qualms. Oh, I don't want, you know, weirdos going through my clothes. Here's the thing. There's already, and this is not necessarily a superb counter-argument, but there's already laundromats where you can pay for laundry services to be done, and eventually you're probably going to have some stuff that you need dry cleaned. I guarantee you, I mean, I guess at a laundry service is a little different. They see a bunch of laundry every single day. Nothing you show them is probably going to, you know, rattle them. Maybe, you know, I can understand particularly if you're like, I don't want some creep sniffing my underwear. Fair enough. But honestly, it doesn't really bother me. I've used a local laundry service a few times. At the end of the day, I find it weird what people choose to judge as being like, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? What people choose to, where they draw the line in terms of like, you know, is it ridiculous to pay for this convenience? Because people will, like, you know, nobody bats an eye at paying for delivery. Maybe they bat an eye at the frequency that some people pay for delivery. Not naming any names. But it's literally just the same thing. Is a dude driving to the restaurant, picking up your food, and then dropping it off at your front door. Something you could do yourself, assuming you have a car. You know, and there's an associated cost with it as well. For the laundry... I mean, literally, you know, we used to drop off, like, all of our clothes. This is years ago, like 6 years ago or 7 years ago. We used to drop off all our clothes at the laundromat, and then they basically charge by weight. So once a week, we drop them all off, and then I would pick them up, like, 6 hours later. They were already folded, just had to put them in the drawers at home, and it was, like, $25 Canadian, which is a steal, dude. Similarly, like, I'm not saying, by the way, that's way more expensive than doing it at home, but, yo, we're guppy, thank God. Laundry stuff is still pretty expensive. Now, I know I'm preaching to the converted here from a millennial standpoint. I'm the alpha millennial. We have Tide Pods. We also have fabric softener, and I'm still, there might be fabric softener inside of the Tide Pods, so we're double dipping, but our clothes smell amazing. And then we've got like this weird like dry detergent booster stuff. So, you know, every load of laundry probably costs me about $75. Not true, but I'm just saying it's not purely a convenience play. You are also I mean, you're not saving money because you're spending more, but it's not just like, you know, when you get delivery, I don't care, walk over it. And they're like, well, you're saving gas. Yeah, you're probably saving like $1 of gas, depending on where you live. If you live in Europe, you might be saving $300 worth of gas. But anyway, I just find it strange what people say is acceptable and what isn't, I guess. Because I think the laundry thing would rub a lot of people the wrong way. But I'm okay with that. There's another one that I think is I would never do. And again, I draw the line somewhere as well. And it's Airbnb, but for your car. So, you know, if you don't know what Airbnb is, it originally started out as like, well, I'm going to be away from my city for this week, and you're going to be away from your city for this week. You know, maybe I'll stay in your apartment, you stay in my apartment. But long story short, there's a way for, you know, if you weren't using your apartment, then what you could do was put it up on as basically a hotel that other people could stay at. What it eventually turned into is, and I'm not super, I use Airbnb, but I also recognize it's caused a lot of problems. Particularly, you know, I live in a city where there's a housing crisis for sure, and beyond that, I live in, you know, an area where there's a ton of Airbnb guests. And Airbnb guests are the worst neighbors. And I say this as somebody who uses Airbnb. But they're always on vacation, which is fine, because, I mean, that's how it works. But, you know, people on vacation they tend to be loud, intoxicated, and, you know, not as considerate or respectful of the environment around them, particularly with respect to noise and cleanliness, because they're never going to see their neighbors again. You know, they're just staying here for the weekend, and then they're never coming back. So basically, this is that for your car. So it's like, hey, you got a car. How often out of every single day do you drive your car? Like, certainly less than 10%, right? Well, that's 90% of the time your car's not doing jack for you, you dumb idiot. So what do? Put it up on carbnb.com. And I don't know if that's what it's called. But put it up on carbnb.com. And then, you know, John, who you've never met before, but has a 3.8 star rating. It's close to some of this stuff, but I don't even, like, we've got the win in the bag, so I don't really want to take the wafer and just artificially extend it. You get the idea. And they can drive the car for you. Now, there's so many, sorry, I hit my leg on the desk there. There's so many reasons I don't feel comfortable doing this. And the obvious thing to say there is, well, then don't do it. All right, one step ahead of you. I don't want people I don't know driving my car, because I think that they're probably going to be substantially more likely to treat it like garbage, to drive it, you know, in a way that is either unsafe or is, you know, not necessarily the best way to drive the car. Moreover, don't take this the wrong way, but if you're not a regular driver to the point where you're using a service like this, I question your driving skill, not because I think you're dumb, but because of the fact that you don't drive that much. Or at least you don't own a car, which is, I'm not judging you for not owning a car. That's very smart. What I'm judging you for, but what I'm judging you on is the quality of your driving skill. And I imagine if you drive infrequently, it's probably lower than somebody, on average, who drives a lot. So, is that, plus, I don't want people using my car as a, you know, 15-minute hotel room to get it on. Not because I'm a prude, but because I don't own the necessary cleaning supplies in order to get that sort of stuff out just to make $8, okay? It's not for me. I thought there was one more I wanted to bring up. So laundry, I'm A-okay with, but I'd probably rather just use a laundromat. The car, absolutely not. I will never, unless we fall on like real hard times, I'm not going to do that. There's one more that is very interesting, and I don't know where I stand on this. But I know where I would stand if I were a contractor. I would be very negative towards it. I forget what it's called, but there's been ads all over Canadian TV for it. That's like, I finally bought my own home, but I don't know how to do anything. I don't know how to fix the sink or put up drywall. I don't know why you put up drywall in your new house, but just bear with me, right? You know, I don't know how to install a chandelier. I'm 24. So they call, well, they use this online service, and basically, People can sign up with like their area of expertise and be like, you know, I'm an electrician. And then you could be like, oh cool, I need a wiring job done on my hotel or on my my condo this weekend. Can you come do it? And you're like, you know, sure, Saturday at 1 a.m. sound good? That one I don't know where I stand, because I get it. It's like it's a decent idea. Sort of. You're pairing up people. Man, I can't believe we missed both deals with the devil. You're pairing up people who have a skill and a craft with people who need that skill and craft done. Why do I dislike it? Well, I don't know. This sounds... I don't mean this to sound uniquely urbane, but, you know, I live in this city. It's very expensive, and, you know, we have had to use contractors in the past. We've hired local plumbers, local electricians, to come in and take a look at some of our stuff. And I just kind of feel like that's a necessary part of, like, surviving in the local economy. And I trust them, because, you know, in order to get certified for this stuff, you have to go through, like, an incredible amount of education. So I guess what kind of scares the crap out of me is the idea of, like, a free agent market. Where you could... I'm not even worried about the fact that you're giving these people access to your home. Maybe while you're there, maybe while you're not, both of which could be bad. But it's more along the lines of, like, you got, like, one guy who's like, I'll do it for $75. And then you got one guy who's like, I'll do it for $15. And in a way, I don't know how it works because I haven't signed up for the app, because we don't have a home. I mean, we have an apartment, but, you know, we're renters, I guess is what I should say. So, basically, anything that needs to get done, for the most part, we just defer to our landlord. I shouldn't open these anymore. I'm getting caught up in the hubris of the loot boxes. But either way, I don't know. And I know that sometimes people are just like, why do you care? You know, let people make mistakes. But it's also kind of like, I don't know, when you're disrupting an industry that has existed for a long time in a reasonably safe and effective manner, you know, I don't think it's enough to just be like, yeah, you know, some people will probably be grifters, and, you know, that's just the cost of doing business. I don't know. I'm not saying it should, you know, it has to be illegal or something like that. I'm just saying it's a more complicated issue than, like, well, they just don't take the cheapest price. Anyway. That's what I was saying earlier, and I can't believe I actually remember this well enough to go back to it, but I think it's important to have a hustle, to have something to work towards. Hustle gets a bad rap, but, like, basically hustle, if we change the vernacular, I think it just means, you know, something you're passionate about and you enjoy doing, for one, that also has the potential to provide you a benefit in your life. That's not necessarily, you know, capital or money or fiscal, but, you know, a real passion to strive towards. Even if it is getting diamond in League of Legends. I think the human brain needs, it needs goals. And I say that as somebody with absolutely no experience in psychiatry or really psychology. So, I don't know. Like, and this is where I was going to go earlier before I went off on that extended Airbnb bit, basically. But I think I would be a terrible retiree right now. You know, when I was talking to Josh and Malf about how, like, you know, I should just work less. It sounds so easy. You're like, you know. And it is a bad habit, to be honest. Like, this is, I understand now why they call it workaholic. Because, you know, I'll be like, man, I should really work less. And then it's like 8 p.m. And, you know, maybe Kate's busy doing something. Maybe she's streaming. And I got nothing to do. And I'm like, well, I could, like, play a video game or something. Or, you know, I could, like, do some homework. But let's be honest, I did that as soon as I got home from class. Maybe I'll just knock out a quick Isaac episode, you know? You start getting the shakes. Anyway. It wasn't meant to be negative, but... thanks for watching. I hope you guys have enjoyed the episode. If you did, click the like button. Helps out a great deal. Of course, subscribe if you want to see more in the future. For now, thanks for watching, and I will see you next time. See ya!